The Poseidon's reach rose and fell on swells that had traveled uninterrupted across 3,000 miles of Pacific darkness.
Beneath the hull, 15,000 feet down, lay the scattered remains of the SS Kronos, lost 38 years ago.
Among its cargo, 412 Rolex timepieces, collectively insured for $343 million.
Webb descended the ladder into the submersible's pressure hull, folding his 6-foot frame through the hatch.
To his left, Dr. Sarah Chen, the expedition's marine archaeologist. To his right, James Okoye, systems engineer. The hatch sealed with a sound like a bank vault closing. External sounds ceased.
At 600 feet, they entered the twilight zone. Bioluminescent organisms drifted past like wind-blown embers.
Chen activated the external cameras, capturing this phantasmagoria for the archive.
The decimeter clicked steadily, marking their passage. The titanium groaned softly as it bore the load.
The sonar painted the bottom still below, a vast plain of sediment. Somewhere in that ooze lay their target.
At 13,000 feet, Webb cut the descent. They hovered, suspended above the bottom.
Then it appeared in the lights, emerging from darkness like a drowned cathedral.
The container had split open. Marine growth covered every surface. Tube worms, anemones, and crabs.
A mature East Asian woman named Chen, a leading expert in marine geology, activated the manipulator arm, extending it toward the container's opening.
They moved to the next container, then the next. Each held the same story, torn open and emptied.
Webb expanded the search pattern, consulting the current models she'd developed.
The sonar caught something, a dense return, consistent with intact metal.
It materialized in the LED floods like a revelation. A steel vault, its locking mechanism intact.
The arms trembled as they took the strain. Sediment billowed in clouds as the container shifted. Okoye activated the recovery beacon, a sonar transponder to guide the mothership's recovery basket.
The recovery basket descended through the LED floods, lowered on cables from the mothership 14,000 feet above.
Webb activated the thrusters, moving the submersible toward the basket. Chen would need to position the container precisely.
Okoye sent the activation signal. The basket's doors swung closed with a clang they felt, more than heard.
At 4,000 feet, the Twilight Zone's bioluminescent displays returned, a cold fire in the eternal night. The hull's groaning eased as external pressure diminished. Everything remained within tolerance. At 1,000 feet, the first hints of natural light appeared, the sun having risen during their time below.
The submersible broke through into air and sunlight, water streaming from its hull. The crane engaged, lifting them from the waves and swinging them over the deck.
The hatch unsealed. Fresh air rushed in, carrying the salt tang of the open ocean.
The recovery basket sat on the deck. The container rested inside, a corroded steel vault. The deck crew positioned lifting straps. The crane lifted the container onto a heavy tarpaulin spread across the deck. The grinder screamed as it bit into the bolt, throwing sparks that arced across the deck.
They heaved. Something gave with a crack like a gunshot. The lid lifted.
The lights revealed a second container within the first, a titanium case with gasket seals.
This inner container bore no corrosion. Its seals appeared intact, the titanium gleaming dully.
Okoye released them one by one, their clicks sharp in the deck's relative quiet. He lifted the lid.
And in those compartments, secured against the journey, lay rows of watches. Submariner models from the 1960s, Daytona chronographs from the 1980s, GMT masters with bezels in blue and red.
Chen photographed each watch in situ before removal, documenting their placement.
The recovery team worked through the afternoon, cataloging each timepiece. 412 timepieces were documented.
As the sun descended toward the horizon, the team began the cleaning process.
Chen worked with tools from a surgical theater, soft brushes, compressed air, specialized solvents. A sea dweller from the early days of saturation diving, its helium release valve still functional.
The crew gathered as the cleaning progressed, drawn by the sight of history emerging from decades of darkness. The arrangement became a timeline of horological evolution, a progression from early oyster cases to professional models.
Webb stood back, her eyes moving across the collection. 3 years of work had led to this moment. The team stood in a rough semicircle. Above them, the first stars were appearing in a deepening sky.
A dolphin broke the surface, its arc through the air a graceful parabola. Others followed, then disappeared. Chen photographed the complete collection, the images for the archive, and the insurance company. Webb turned away first, walking to the rail to stare out at the black water. One by one, the others followed.
The Poseidon's Reach turned toward port, her mission complete, her deck carrying cargo worth a fortune. Behind her, the ocean rolled on, vast and dark, and filled with secrets still waiting to be discovered. The inner container was a marvel of engineering, designed to survive pressures that crushed steel like tinfoil.
The mission's success hummed through the ship, a quiet current of accomplishment beneath the fatigue.
The luminous paint, once bright, had aged to a soft, creamy patina, a ghost of its original function.
Okoye sent the preliminary report. The insurance consortium would be notified. The legal salvage claim affirmed.
The benthic star was cleaned and inspected, every system checked after its return from the abyss. The hull showed only microns of compression, a testament to the precision of its manufacture.
The data was already proving invaluable. The actual dispersal pattern would refine future deep-sea current models.
"412 individual histories, secured against the rough transit of the surface world."
The manifest was signed. The container, now holding a king's ransom, was sealed for port.
The current suggests we divert slightly north here, Captain, to avoid the shallows marked on the chart.
Understood, Webb. Set a new course for the harbor entrance.
Land appeared on the horizon 36 hours later, a solid line after weeks of open ocean.
They returned to a world of noise and commerce, the silent abyss now 14,000 feet below.
The transfer team was waiting, a discreet but heavily secured operation.
The container transitioned from the ship's deck to the armored truck in less than 20 minutes.
Chain of custody was formally transferred. The salvage was complete.
The celebration was muted. There was relief, but also the strange emptiness that follows a profound climax.
The crew scattered to flights and homes, carrying stories few would fully believe.
For Webb, the data was the true trophy. The coordinates were now a proven point on the map.
The collection would be dispersed, each watch finding a new custodian, a new story beginning.
Months later, in Geneva, not far from their original departure point, the watches were presented.
The bidding was expected to be fierce. The story had become part of the value.
And the ocean remained, holding its secrets, its pressure, its eternal darkness. They were objects of art, rescued from a realm of pure physics. A victory, however small, over entropy.
Ships and subs were prepared for the next mission, the next set of coordinates, the next secret.
The story became legend for the next crew, a standard to meet, a depth to surpass.
On the seafloor, the remaining wreck continued its slow dissolution, becoming one with the ooze. The circle closed. The lost funded the search for the next lost thing.
In the vault of time, at the bottom of the sea, some secrets are kept forever. Others are brought back to light.
The new vessel was a floating brain, its sensors mapping the seafloor with a resolution once thought impossible.
Their first mission became a template, a dataset that trained algorithms to find other lost things.
The ocean tested every vessel.
Storms on the surface were mere echoes of the pressures below.
Not every dive was for treasure. Some were for history, for fragments of stories swallowed by the sea.
Across the world, in climate-controlled vaults, the watches from the abyss found their homes.
For a moment, each day, a connection was made, a pulse from the deep, ticking on a living wrist.
Okoye left the ships for the frontier, pushing technology into realms too risky for manned expeditions.
The machines would go where humans could not, eyes in the eternal dark.
They found wonders that made the Kronos' cargo seem simple. Ecosystems built on chemosynthesis, not sunlight.
Chen brought the deep to classrooms. The story was no longer about salvage, but about preservation and context.
The true value, she would say, isn't in the gold, but in the story the corrosion tells.
In quiet moments, Webb could still hear it, the deep, resonant groan of a hull under immense pressure.
That sound was the anthem of his life's work, a reminder of the line they crossed and returned from.
We follow, tracing their wake, looking for what they left behind.
Every crew has someone looking up, while the mission is to look down. The duality of exploration.
And some came to rest here, in silent tribute, where the public could ponder their impossible journey.
For a child, it is simply a shine thing from a shipwreck. The true depth of the story is for later.
15,000 feet, a vertical journey through realms of light, through life, into pressure and timeless dark.
Time measures our moments.
The quest moved to new frontiers. The crushing pressure of the deep was traded for the silent, expanding cold of the poles.
Okoye's work had evolved from mechanical arms to paleoclimatology, reading Earth's history in layers of mud.
Each shell a clock, its chemistry a precise record of a moment in planetary time.
Like tree rings, their bands told stories of past seas, a baseline against the present fever.
For Webb, the exploration continued through screens. The hunger to see what lay beyond the light never faded.
Recovered from the SS Kronos, 15,000 feet.
The watches began their cycles anew, passing between collectors.
She didn't just collect it, she immortalized it in data, a backup against time's next assault.
The story of the deep sea found a stranger vault, a lunar archive, a backup of human culture placed off-world.
Timepieces that survived the ocean's pressure now had their essence stored in the ultimate vacuum.
Ships, like people, have their seasons. The vessel that started it all reached the end of its service.
The containers themselves became relics, a testament to the layered protection that defied the decades.
The cycles continued. New storms raged over the old grave, the ocean perpetually rewriting its surface. His journey ended where it was defined, in the embrace of the ocean, descending one final time.
Each generation plants its own flag in the unknown, stands on the shoulders of those who dove before.
They remembered. For those who work the deep, the past is not abstract. It is a presence in the water below.
A breath released from the deep, a momentary sparkle, then gone. The ocean keeps its mysteries.
Paperwork outlives ships. In a vault on land, the original declaration of loss became a historical footnote. The story updated. A line was drawn, connecting loss to rediscovery across the decades.
Some who had crafted pieces in that collection were still alive. The circle of creation and recovery closed within a single lifetime.
The craft continued. The same hands, the same focus, building timekeepers for a new century of exploration.
The mission became a simulation. A new generation could experience the descent, the pressure, the discovery, without risk.
Missions change. The deep sea was no longer just a museum. It became a thermometer for the planet's health.
They found a new kind of debris field, one settling into the abyss in their own lifetime. Human history, reduced to silent magnetic patterns, waiting in the cold for a future that may never come to act.
The sounds of the deep were translated, became music, became a bedtime story of pressure and darkness.
In a cosmos of infinite dark melismas and time, a handful of South Asian humans spent as glittering trinkets from one dot.
In the end, every vault is a promise. Every depth contains a sparkle waiting.